Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome.
Hi.
We're having another episode here of Movement for Everybody podcast. Fair warning, it's going to be Black AF and Queer AF. We probably already have two Karens on standby and a couple of Christian rights group ready to cry in a video to say how terrible our content was. Right? Anyways, about this podcast. Hey, Bestie Boos, this is Dr. Marcia, and you're listening to the Movement for Everybody podcast, the show for all the homies looking to find joy and liberation through movement. All right, okay. I'm going to be introducing everyone, so pay attention, class. I'm Dr. Marcia, your friendly neighborhood physical therapist, certified yoga teacher, and author of Movement for Everybody. I'm in Richmond, Virginia, in Powhatan land. Our next two guests will be on the same land, by the way. I'm sitting in front of my, what do we call these? Entrance table, coffee table, whatever it is. It's got some cool stuff on it, like some drums I bought in Kenya and this thing from Haiti. And I am wearing my locks down and I got champagne rose Beats headphones on. And you can't see my shirt, but it does say I am deliberate and afraid of nothing. A quote from Audre Lorde. I got the shirt from Decolonizing Fitness. Anywho, on the top right, we have Ashley, she, her, a certified extreme hip hop instructor and line dance teacher. Her infectious energy is sure to get you moving, grooving, and having a time. Okay. Ashley also has some beautiful long locks down. She's sitting in front of a super colorful wall in her brother's tattoo shop. Very cool. And like I said, also on Powhatan land. To our bottom left, we have Kirwin, they, them, a creative movement facilitator and sound healer who helps people get out of their heads and into their body through curiosity, self-expression, and play. Kirwin is sitting at home wearing a head wrap, clear glasses, in front of some cute little art pieces on the wall, and unfortunately open blinds because they don't work, but we're not going to talk about that right now.
Oh.
Last but not least, we have Ashantis, she, they, an intersectional wellness educator, counselor, and trainer who supports individuals seeking mental health, fitness support, and businesses as well, seeking to create equitable practices. Ashantis is in Chicago on Peoria land. Ashantis is sitting in their apartment with some beautiful twists, some over-ear headphones, and a little nose ring. So if you couldn't tell, we're gay. We're gay. We've got nose rings. We've got the clear glasses on deck. Mm-hmm. We've got the locks. I don't know what else we're missing here. Anyways,
truly.
So we're talking movement. We're talking curiosity. We're talking body liberation. So with that in mind, we're going to start off this podcast with a question. Why is throwing it back such an act of liberation?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We sit with it. Mm-hmm. Yes. We're hearing the question. Mm-hmm. We're feeling the question. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are we answering the question?
I'm in it. Oh my
God. Okay. I'll say from a clinical and somatic based perspective, a lot of trauma is stored in the hips. So the act of throwing it back is somatically sometimes releasing what our body no longer needs to hold.
Yeah,
I love that. Okay. A clinical perspective.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I would give the cultural perspective. I feel like dance connects us all. Like if you watch someone do, I don't know, jazz dancing, you might look at that and be like, hey, that looks like Bacardi dancing in South Africa. And then you can be like, oh, where does Bacardi come from? Oh, these other dances, which, oh, that kind of looks like this other one in Nigeria, which, oh, that kind of looks like what they do in Haiti. Oh, that kind of looks like, and you just keep on going and going. Dance connects us all because dance is like a part of us. That's how we express ourselves. It's a language.
Yeah.
That we all speak. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And tapping back into a language that we all speak is freeing.
Yeah, 100%. I want to piggyback off of the community aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Me personally have never thrown it back a day in my life and didn't have people hyping me up around me. You understand what I'm saying? So even the community of it all gives so much. so much. It's all like from the releasing, like you said, whatever is stored in the hips and the people around you cheering you on as you do so. It's just so it's ancestral. It's
Mm.
just I feel liberated already. I ain't even shaking that yet.
No.
Yes.
We are shaking metaphorically at this
Okay.
moment.
That's right. That's right. I also feel like it's just like a direct line to emotion overall, depending on like how you're shaking it.
Come on.
Hmm.
Almost got me.
Come
Ooh.
on.
Yeah, but how like are you shaking it with your legs open, which is,
Mhm.
how is that seen by maybe men? You know what I mean? And how is that seen when you're in a group full of safe people where you're like, oh, I can shake it with my legs open. I can shake it with my inverted, head on the ground, butt in the air. How could, you know what I mean? Like I think it's very much tied to emotion and like the space of safety and who you're with as well.
Mm.
Hmm.
That's a
So,
word.
Mhm.
That's a word. Well, let's speak to safety. That's a good segue, and that's something that I definitely touch on in the book of like having a place to move where you feel physically and emotionally safe makes all of the difference. So there's like at physical safety, like make sure you're on a rug that doesn't slip, right? But there's also like who are you in the room with?
yeah.
What is the vibe? What do you
Mhm.
feel safe to do? Because if you're trying to do something that requires embodiment and connecting to your body, and your body's like, we're in danger, honey,
Yeah.
how's that
Mhm.
going to work?
Yeah.
Right.
How's that going to work?
It kind of doesn't, I feel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Me
Um,
personally, if I'm shaking it, I am safe. I feel safe, and all of those people that were around me cheering me on are likely people that are actually my people. And like,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe then some, but like for the core of it is probably some people I have with me, one, and then two, just generally, if I'm shaking it,
hmm.
yeah, I feel safe. I feel safe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's also something to be said about safety allowing the person to be embodied and be present,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that when you're in an environment where you're trying to move your body, but the instructor is, for instance, utilizing anti-fat rhetoric within the class, it's like, I can't even focus on properly doing this movement because why am I listening to you talk about things you shouldn't be talking about in this space
Mm-hmm.
that actually have nothing to do with this space? And so I can't even be fully present and figuring out, is my form really all the way that it could be? Am I really doing this movement in the way that feels best for me in this moment? Because now I got to hear you go on a soapbox. Please.
Oh, period.
That's real.
Okay.
That's very real. Yeah, I mean, I personally find myself dancing in places, like doing line dancing with Ashley, and also social dancing and swing dancing, where that happens to be the general vibe. We're just here to move. I don't care what you look like. I don't care how you're moving. I don't even care if you're on beat. We're just happy you're here. And that's like the standard vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But that might not be the case if you just go to like a group fitness class and you don't know anything about them and you just walk in like, oh, yeah, let's see what happens. So, what would you tell somebody who's trying to figure out how can I tell us a place will be safe for me?
Mm. I feel like the places that are the places who say it. Like it's on my website right above my pricing, what I am and what I'm not about as a trainer. Um, and in every group fitness description, there's something along the lines of, this is what I'll be doing, but if you opt to do something that's different, that's totally fine with me, whether we're virtual or in person. So I think being able to directly communicate, all are welcome here, or most are welcome here, whatever variation of that feels the most honest, is what lets people know, okay, I can at least give it a shot. I can at least give it a try.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel that. I also feel like I feel like you can do your research as best you can, and it's still kind of just up in the air. Like, I feel like you never really know until you just experience it. You know what I'm saying? There's no real way outside of just the extreme burning bright red flags. That some places have that you just don't, that's not gonna work for me. But otherwise, you really just don't know until you try something. And I wouldn't, I feel a couple of ways, okay? I would say try it once, right? And if it's your vibe, I think you would probably know. I also think that it's kind of hard to make a decision just off one time. Some people can have a good day. And so, maybe you might need to try it a couple more times. Um, but at the end of the day, you got to try. Like, you just have to try it. Like, yeah, because I was just thinking when you were saying about it being like kind of written and out there, I think some of that stuff, most of that stuff, is on my booking information, but it wouldn't be like in my bio. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So then it might or might not be there for some people that might actually be safe, but you just have to try. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I would agree with you because there are a lot of people that virtue signal and say that they are things,
Right.
which
Very.
so I very much will side eye someone that says this is a safe space because how do you
Hmm.
know? You don't know everybody and what's safe.
Right.
How do you know? How can you say that with 100% certainty? Like, so it's kind of tough to discern from that. But I would also say, like, having support makes it different. Like, if I'm not sure, I'm going to bring somebody with me, right? Or if I'm not sure, I'm not going to try a new place with a new space and a new person on a week where I'm already overwhelmed. That's just going to be a bad idea. Because I do find that there's the extreme of virtue signaling, and then there's also the extreme of everyone's not great with technology. Like, there's like a pole studio here that I love. There are no class descriptions whatsoever. I have no idea what the class is going to be. I
Oh,
just know when it is. And
okay.
I could DM and ask her directly, and she'd be like, yeah, it's Friday at 7. I'll be like, okay. So I just have to decide, am I going to take that chance or not? Which is not accessible and not great for everybody. Like, not saying it that that's an easy thing to do because that's
Right.
money, time, and energy gone.
True.
Yeah.
I agree with y'all. And I also think that a teacher or a leader in the classroom who like notices when the vibe is off or notices when people are uncomfortable. Because I was in a class recently where it was not described well. And then when I got there, I didn't know that we were going to be like physically touching each other. And he wanted us to dance chest to chest. And I was like, I know, and I felt so awkward. And I thought it was gonna be this thing where like, usually partner work, they're like, oh yeah, you can like mirror what the other person is doing or something like that. And I was like, that's fine, because we don't have to touch. And don't get me wrong, love some touch, love it, but not with people that I don't know, not with people
Right.
that I just met. And it was a very awkward class, and I actually left early because I was like, I could sit here and be uncomfortable and force my way through this, or I could just say that this is not for me, and it wasn't. So I left.
Mhm.
So I think a teacher that is self-aware and also like taking cues from maybe body language or, you know,
Mm.
whatever is going on, I think that's like really important.
Very.
That's a perfect example. I would definitely say I've taken many social dancing classes where there are positions that are very close. Like
Mhm.
blues dancing, you can have a very close embrace, like bosom on bosoms, like we are hip to hip, homie, and I don't even know you.
Yeah.
But when I take those classes, they start the class and say, okay, yep, this is a rotating class. Everyone's going to dance with everybody, but make sure you ask every single time,
Yeah.
can we
Mhm.
dance? Are you okay with close embrace? Are you okay with this kind of movement? Are you okay with this? And then when teachers enforce that, when you come to the dance floor, that carries over. People come up to you, hey, you want to dance? Okay. Is this okay? Is that okay? Is that okay? And then if it's not, you move on because it's dance. There's no wrong way to dance.
True.
Mhm.
So like that,
Mhm.
the fact that that class didn't even start that way is makes me double uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Very. Very.
I
Yeah.
know. And
I
then people
I
like, Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think there's something to be said to your point about the leader setting the standard, and that in an environment where you are giving education on top of the actual movement education, those are the experiences where I think then people are able to take it into other spaces. And that's where we really get to see the ripple effect of consent. And that consent looks like so many more things than can I insert whatever here. And that it is so fundamentally important within the movement space, but especially within the group movement space, often is completely disregarded.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, I think a lot of leaders in the classroom or teachers, they like to use this. I know it's a real thing, but it's starting to kind of feel like a buzzword because people are using it a lot. They're using trauma informed. And then when you start the class, it is very clear that it is not trauma informed. And then it's like going back to the same situation, the guy that taught the class was saying that, he was like, oh, I remember when I first started dancing with others. And, I remember how awkward that touch was. And I said, I didn't say this and I should have said it out loud. But I was just like, if you remember that awkwardness of how it is to like dance chest to chest, and you're not asking us to ask for consent, you're not, you know what I mean? Like I asked my partner for consent, but everybody else just kind of got in chest to chest. And I was like, what in the world is this? I was like, how can you sit here and say that this is trauma informed? And you're like, this is a very like loose thing. There was no music either. So we were just like listening to each other breathe.
Oh no. And click
And
clacks with
like
your shoes.
we're outside, we're barefoot, stepping on each other's feet. I was like, I have to go. I
Oh no,
have to
that's too
go. I said, I
much.
don't know. Yeah. So I no, sorry, y'all.
I'm
No.
not gonna lie, I didn't think that was gonna get worse. I didn't
I
think that
did.
your story was gonna get worse. That's insane.
You
That's
know,
a lot. That's
and that is why I had to leave.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Great choice.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So those were the ways in which he was very like unself-aware. And I do not believe that he could say that this is something that is like trauma informed or consent based or anything. I'm like, how are you teaching us how to dance with others without asking for consent? And you're asking us to look each other in the eyes and be like, who do you want
oh.
with? Like, what? Like the minute he said that, we were all like, like,
Mm-mm.
yeah, no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like people need to start being able to give the credentials, education, whatever it is, when
Yeah.
they say, oh, I'm a trauma-informed provider. What makes you a trauma-informed provider?
Who informed you?
I need to know.
Right.
Hello?
I need
Like,
to know.
Hello?
I need to know. Let's
I
get
would
into
like
the
to
deets.
know.
Yeah.
Because you're saying you're a trauma-informed provider, but you're being blatantly ableist. You're saying you're a trauma-informed provider, but you're being blatantly anti-fat. Which one is it?
Mm-hmm.
It don't
Mm-hmm.
make sense. It don't make sense. Speaking of ableist, I feel like that's the other one that gets me when people are like, all abilities are welcome here. Like I took one class that was on swing dance, and it was like learning how to switch because there's a leader and a follower, but you can also do it where you just switch while you're dancing. So that was the class. That's it. That was a description. All levels welcome. So I'm thinking I'm not like the best swing dancer, so I can go to this class. I'll be fine.
Mhm.
The warm up started with jumping jacks.
Oh, okay.
Why? Why am I jumping? Why is there a
The
high
way.
impact warm up and like single leg stretching? I don't jump. I can't balance on one leg. This was not in the description. This wasn't even described as a fast paced class. Like it's not that we're necessarily only dancing the fast songs. Why am I jumping? And I didn't do any of those things. I was off to the side doing whatever felt good for me to warm up. And then the instructor comes up to me like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm doing what's okay for me. What do you?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
100%. For me in my class, I'm always like, what I'm saying is really just a strong suggestion. You know what I'm saying? It
Yep.
really is up to you and your body what works for you. I can't tell you that, you know. But when I say that this is for everybody, I want to mean that. And so taking those precautions, making sure that you're covering these bases just feels like what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do. I
It
don't know.
seems it
Mhm.
seems very simple.
Yeah.
And to your point earlier, Kirwin, of instructors being aware, this was like an hour and a half workshop class, whatever. And they kept doing things like that. And towards the end of the class, people started sitting out. So people that look like me, that look fine, but also there's older folks at this.
Hmm.
Like that I see it like I'm sitting down and it's like me and somebody's grandma. You know what I mean? Like, and they're not clocking this. Like, we're not even done with the class, and 3 or 4 people are sitting down. Like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Like, why
Yeah.
are we not paying attention to the people in our class?
Hmm.
Yeah. Some people teach classes because they love what they do, and some people teach classes to be like for accolades, you know what I mean? Or for,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I do this, I'm the expert, but like people,
Mm-hmm.
even the experts never stop learning.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and there's things you need to be aware of in the classroom as well at all times. And even if something, if I see like a moment of hesitation in my class, I'll be like, wait, I see y'all looking at me. I'm looking at y'all. What's going on? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's ways to kind of like do and say things without putting people on the spot and just being like,
Yes.
let me clarify. My bad, y'all. And I have no
Yes.
trouble like apologizing to people and being like, I was not clear. I ran that back in my head and I see.
Hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real.
Mm-hmm.
That's real. And the singling out is a big thing because
Hmm.
instead of asking everybody, hey, how are we feeling? They came up to the people that were sitting. Are you okay? Is everything okay? Like, why are you? That's a weird energy, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, you
Yeah.
provided zero options. You provided zero. It was just like, all right, we're going to get started. Okay, we're going to jump. All right, we're going to, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
whoa.
Yeah.
Um,
The lack of variations is always astounding to me.
Hmm.
In this day and age where we have access to this education, right? I think it unfortunately made sense for a long time that, if you were becoming a group fitness instructor and the only people you were learning from was this very specific, set of people in person, that you didn't know what you didn't know.
Mhm.
But now I feel like there are just so many people having this conversation and so many folks going, I don't really feel like thinking about that. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. But now people aren't comfortable in your class and they don't want to come to your class because you are telling them to do certain things that just wouldn't make sense for their body, but you don't realize that because like you don't live in a disabled body or you've never lived in a larger body, or you can see they're struggling and you're like, got nothing. Get creative.
Hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, to me, it's very simple to be like, oh, is everyone doing good? Let me see a thumbs up. Like, just check in with people, everyone, at
Right.
least something
Right.
simple.
Mm,
Hmm.
very.
Do you remember or was it, I don't know if it was last week at my first line dance class, I'm like, going over the moves. And then I'm like, is everybody okay? Do we got it? Are we ready to cut on the music? Somebody said, we'll see. And it's dark in there. So I don't know who said that. And so I said, oh, okay. And so it was like a little kiki moment. We laughed, cut the music on, did the dance. And then after the dance, I said, now who said we was going to see? Did we see it? Did you see it? She said, we
Mm-hmm.
saw. We saw. I said, okay. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, a simple check-in really just goes a long way. And it's just a cute way to connect with people. You don't have to single anybody out, but like make the people feel like you give a darn. Come on, darn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Come
come
on,
on,
Dern.
Mm-hmm.
Give a gosh darn
Yeah, I
dangle it.
mean, I mean.
It don't make no sense. Oh my goodness. So we have like many backgrounds of dance in here, by the way, while we're speaking of, we have line dance, we got a pole dancer, we got cardio. What do we call your style of dancing, Ashantis? What do we call it exactly?
Um, the description on the classes say dance cardio is a mix
There we
of
go.
hip hop and Latin fusion, and cardio jam includes kickboxing principles, aka
There we go.
kick more.
There we go.
Because I
I don't
wanted
want to
people to
mess up the
know.
words.
Thank
I don't
you.
want to mess up the words. Yes. So there are so many ways to move a body. I would love to know how each of you landed on what you're doing right now. whether it's just a season, it doesn't. I'm not saying this is the only thing you're ever gonna do, but just how'd you get here?
Yeah.
Could you say more? Like what how
Yeah. So like right now, I do swing dancing, I do blues dancing, I pole dance, and I didn't plan on doing any of those things. I literally just stumbled on it, and I was like, "Oh, this is great, amazing," and now that's what I like doing.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
don't know how I got here, but I could tell you when I was a teenager, before my abusive relationship, I used to love dancing. So it's like I kind of, in a way, kind of cycle back to what I used to love doing, but in a different
I
format, but it's still the same.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that's how I got here.
Hmm.
Okay. I see. I see. Well, for me, I wanted to start pole dance in 2020, and 2020 said, "How you thought?" So I was like, I guess I won't be starting it right now. But my motivations for starting it at that point was because I felt like it would make me a more attractive person to find a mate. And oh, a mate, yikes. To find a partner. Yikes. And so I was watching these like pole videos on like Instagram and TikTok, and I was like, yes, like I need to be flexible and I need to do all these things and I need to be more than what I am, you know? And
Mm.
before the pandemic, I was doing a lot of spin classes, hate hit classes. Want to just put that out there. Ask me to do a burpee. Please, please
Ask me.
ask me. So I started pole in 2021, and I still had those motivations behind me. I was like, I'm trying to find a partner. I'm trying to be more interesting. I'm trying to do all this. And what I ended up finding was kind of like the road back to myself, actually, because I was like, when you take other people out of your journey, like and take their expectations of you out of your journey, that's when you truly find yourself. And so I like to say that yes, I also like teach pole dancing, but I'm teaching my students also like art through
Hmm.
through pole. Like pole is the medium, but like I'm teaching you art. You know what I mean? And it's not always about getting to the top or doing the coolest trick because there's so much at access from the base to standing to just getting both feet off the floor to the top. So there's so much to see, right? So yeah, now I'm teaching pole and I'm teaching, teaching people that it's okay to be themselves, which is kind of cool. Or I'm assisting people with that journey because I can't teach that actually.
Very cool. And what about the flow arts?
I used to hula hoop back in the day. I actually like would win all the contests because they'd be like, "How long can you hula hoop?" I last one standing. Hips don't lie. So, I used to hula hoop all the time, and then as I got older, you get too cool for things. You get too cool for
Hmm.
And during the pandemic, again, is when I like started to pick those things back up because I was like, I don't want to do hit classes, hate burpees, hater. Don't want to do that anymore, but I know I need to move more because I'm not feeling good in my body. I'm not feeling good in my mental health. So I'm like, how can I find something, a way of movement that's gonna like make me feel good? But it's like losing weight isn't necessarily the goal. I just want to feel good in where I'm at right now. And so I started taking walks, and then at the time I had a dog too, so we would go to the park and I would just hoop, and then my dog would try to jump in the hoop with me, and I'd be like, that's how that works. Um, and then I just started to like pick up different things, and I was like, well, I want to add a little bit more expression. Let me start to add my silk fans. Let me start to just, feel the music. And I think to be dancing in the park and having people like, how people like to look out the window and be like, what they doing over there?
Yep.
You have to kind of just be like, this is my time to do me. And like,
Hmm.
it's, yeah, I'm dancing at the park in the open, but this is what I want to be doing. And like so many
Hmm.
people have that fear of like being looked at or being witnessed. And so I think like
Hmm.
just turning that into a practice has been really huge for me. And so I'm happy if I can give people that same opportunity to like kind of free themselves outside in community, and you have the choice of how you're going to move, and I'm not really teaching you. I'm, giving you the space to do this. I'm encouraging you.
I love it.
I
I,
Thanks.
I
love
think
that.
I think what I love the most about the flow art stuff is like the perception is either number one, that's for kids, or
Yeah.
number two, that's for palm colors getting high at festivals.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So
Yes.
yeah. And we can have
that
Yes.
to, and just like throwing it in a circle, also dance. You can throw it in a circle and float. I just want to let you know. But also,
Mm-hmm.
when you're flowing in the park, it's not just for the palm colors, it's for us too. We deserve to be able to feel some sort of freedom in our bodies as well. And that's also, I feel like, another like form or element of like liberating ourselves from these patriarchal expectations that
Mm-hmm.
society has of us as Black women, as Black femmes, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
you need to just be seen and not heard, or you need to be, stop doing too much or whatever. And it's like, well, I'm not going to, so
Yep.
no thanks.
bye.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I'm not doing it.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Okay. Who's next for the lore drop? Let's hear it.
Um, so I'll be honest, growing up, I could not dance. Like everybody was making fun of me. And I
Oh.
was like, I refuse to be the person who's being made fun of at every family gathering. So me and my boombox, we was practicing. And all of a sudden one day they were like, oh my God, she has rhythm. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to keep up with it so I don't lose it at this point, right? So I got into musical theater and dance and all of these things. And that ultimately led me to being a know-it-all in somebody's Zumba class at 17 and being like, I could do better choreography than this. And my mom being like, okay, let's put your money where your mouth is. So we started teaching Zumba in our church basement at the time. And I left it for a while. And then I came back to it in grad school when I was getting my master's done. And I have not left since.
Yeah.
Okay.
Period.
Mm. I love that. And I love that you said how you couldn't dance because some people think you're just like, if you don't wake up able to isolate your cheeks, then you never will be able to. Like if you don't wake up knowing how
Mm-hmm.
to dance on sway to beats on beat, you never be able to. Like you can practice.
You
Yeah.
can. You
You can
really can.
practice. It
And
is a
I think
skill.
there is something to be said about the art of the practice and being okay with getting it wrong and then getting it right and then possibly getting it wrong again, but then figuring out how to get it right again, right? And that embodiment and that mind body connection and what's happening in your brain when you're saying, I can do this versus I fear this and therefore I'm just going to shut it out of my life.
Mm.
Mm. And does it
That's
have to be right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
who says it's wrong, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah. Investigating those questions and movement that's been huge. That's actually good journal material, actually, if y'all.
That's real.
It
Somebody write
really
that
is.
down.
Yeah.
100%.
Mm.
Okay. So for me, it really just started in 2020, you know. A lot was happening with the world and all of the things.
Yeah.
Um, and my sister was diagnosed with cancer in the middle of the year. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're all running around scared about the other C word, and this one then
Right.
crept up on us. That's crazy. Um, so I realized I had a friend that invited me to a group fitness class, and I went with her, and I had a time. And the thing is, I don't even do that fitness class no more to this day. It's not really my thing. But it was something about just like throwing it in a circle.
Mm.
It was something about doing it in community to good music and also in a time where we ain't even really supposed to be together. Like, but here we are, masked up, throwing it in a circle, risking it all just for that feeling. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I did realize like the only time that I wasn't crying for real was like when I was in those movement classes. And from there, I found step because they brought a step instructor in, and I was like, this what I've been looking for. This is it. And I
Mm-hmm.
went and stopped going. Just couldn't stop going. Invited friends, wanted everybody to get involved. But I didn't become an instructor until I lost my job at my home church. I was the minister of music for a long time. And it was just like a random phone call on a Monday, like, hey, so we're just going to go in a different direction. And I said, oh, and he said, so do you want to work the next 2 weeks or you just like, or you good?
Oh,
That's literally, that's how it went. So
interesting.
I was like, child, you can keep them 2 weeks. Please leave me alone.
Yeah.
I got him off the phone. And I took my last paycheck and I paid for myself to get certified in the step class that I love so much. And then I started my own business from there, and we're 4 years in now. So,
Mm.
yeah.
It's
So that's how I ended up here. And the line dancing, I've always collabed with line dance teachers with step also. So I used to do half and half, like on a Friday. We used to call it Fire Fridays. So I've always loved line dancing. I've always been a 67-year-old woman in my body, in my heart and soul. So I love to scoot across the floor with the folks. And and I don't know, I was really just looking for a tutorial video for a specific line dance. This is really how it happened. I was looking for a tutorial video. Could not find one to save my life. When I finally found one, it was from the actual originator of the dance, but they said that they weren't a good teacher, but this was their attempt at teaching. So I learned from them. And then I said, well, I am a good teacher. And so I'm going to make a tutorial video for them for this dance. Like, and just, it just is out of the kindness of my heart. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I see what you're doing and I can maybe explain it just like a tad bit better. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I put the video out and then I went viral and my page has been just going up, 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 up ever since. It's been crazy. I went from 2,000 followers to 16,000 followers
That's wild.
because I posted that video, that one.
mm,
So that's how I ended
meeting
up
a
here.
need.
Okay.
That's wild.
Yeah, literally.
I think it's also interesting that we're at a time that line dance is like popular to the general population now.
Hmm.
Because it's not really something like I'm Haitian. We know the electric slide and the cha-cha slide, you know what I'm
Right,
saying? But
right.
like we don't know what line dancing means or
Hmm.
is.
Hmm.
That's not something I ever heard of. So when stuff started popping up and everyone was choreographed, I was like, oh, what's that over there? Uh,
Hmm.
but now it's everywhere. And I think it's very unsurprising when you think about it because we already described earlier how movement is just so liberating. And we are in a time right now where we feel so stifled. So it makes sense.
Hmm.
And I love it. I love that for us.
Yeah, same, for sure.
Mm. I feel like line dancing also really speaks to what you were saying before about like music being a language and dance being a language within itself, because I look at this from a funny standpoint, but it really speaks to like the sociology of it all and the fact that you have a bunch of Black people doing the white versions of Black line dances because they're like, look at this choreography and how it's so different. And the like interesting choreography choices, I
Hmm.
think a little bit speak to what is the purpose of you doing this dance and with this song, what is the why truly of it? And that the Black versions, you can see that I think the language is a little bit more clear sometimes, even if you don't fully speak the language.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
with it. I'm with it. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's real. That's real. That reminds me of a class I took on different styles of blues music and they really talked about that like okay this is a hot part of the song so you might move with more emphasis, this is a cool part of the song so you might chill out, and does the tempo make you want to stomp or does the tempo make you want to slide?
Yeah.
Like those are all bits of language and dance for real.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
So if
100%.
if you're not connected to the movement, I mean connected to the music, then yeah, the music is, I mean the movement's not really, it's not gonna give.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when they had the when Meg the Stallion had the hands in the air. I forgot the name of that song. But that was the time that the people making dances on TikTok, which another popular thing that's unsurprising, right? But people were the
Mm-hmm.
Black folks making dancings were like protesting, they were like, we're not making it anymore because other
Yeah.
people copy our dances and go viral. And then Meg's song came out and everyone was left to their own devices. Nobody made a song. And the movement they had was putting their hands in the air at a part where she says, hands
Hands
on
on
your
my knee.
knees. And I think that's a perfect example of what you're talking about, Ashantis.
Why? Why? I would like for someone to explain to me how that makes sense. And why, when y'all are doing the wobble, are you on the floor and thrusting?
Kirwin, have you not
Why?
seen this?
No. Why?
Oh, Kirwin.
There's nothing that in that song that calls for you to be on the floor.
Thank you. That's my point. I saw it and I said, "Is this this is a joke? This is a little funny moment." Oh no, there's multiple, and y'all are in different regions. So
Yeah.
okay, this isn't a one-town situation.
Ooh, that's a big yikes.
Yeah, it's scary. But I will say about line dancing, as opposed to just like collective dancing, you know what I'm saying? Can you imagine like when you're in like a party or a space, whatever, everybody's kind of like doing their own thing until somebody's maybe doing a little bit more, and then we're hyping that person up. But like with line dancing specifically, like we're all trying to flow the same way and kind of do the same thing, just like with singing, like collective singing, like when we sing together, how that kind of really does something for us. I don't know if that's what they call them things. It start with a D. Um
No, no.
okay, so like honestly, it probably doesn't start with a D, and that's the crazy part. So anyway, I'm gonna move forward and I'm gonna say just it kind of like lights a match on the inside. Like it makes you feel happy. Like it induces the
dopamine.
Thank you. It does start with a D.
Oh,
there we are. Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
We found it.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. But I think that line dancing kind of is the movement version of that same concept,
Yeah, no, that's real.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways to get. I think that line dancing is a really great way for folks that have trouble connecting to music or trouble just being grounded and living in their bodies without worrying about anything else. I feel like line dancing is kind of a good way to do that because yes, you have a certain set of steps and yes, it goes with the music and yes, you're trying to keep up with everybody, but like you're kind of too busy to worry about if you look cool or not.
Right.
First of all, you're trying to get the steps. And then once you do get the steps and it becomes automatic, now you're like, oh, hold on. I actually feel the music now. And all of a sudden you start to add your little swag in. And next thing you know, it's 2 minutes in, the song's over, and you're just like, oh, I guess I just did that.
100%. 100%.
So that's what I love about line dancing. Because on the flip side, I don't like taking choreographed dance classes. I don't like that.
No, you don't want to be J-Lo?
They're harder to teach. Oh,
wait, what'd you say, Ashley?
You don't want to be J-Lo? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay. No. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ashantis.
I was just gonna say the choreographed classes are also much harder to teach because I think that people get so much more caught up in the comparison game because you're repeating it over and over and over and over and over again versus, for instance, in a step, in a dance cardio, in a cardio jam, you may have repetition of the same movement amongst different songs, but you don't have enough time to think about to the same point, you don't have enough time to think about what you look like or think about how you look in comparison to somebody else. The song is going to be over by the time you get there. And there's something to be said about letting the movement be present versus trying to find the perfection in it.
Yeah. Let me give that. I'm going to hold space for that. I think you uncovered something for me. Okay. Yeah, that's another reason I don't like it. The other reason I don't like it is like, don't tell me what to do.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. Number one. And also, don't tell me what to do because I can't do that. And now I have to fill my time doing what? What am I supposed to do with this time? Now you're on count 8. I couldn't do 3, 4, 5. What am I supposed to do about that? Or sometimes they do it and I'm like, that doesn't go with the song. And now I don't personally like this and I don't vibe with it. Now I'm checked out. But that's just me. Maybe you love a choreographed class. And if you do, that's amazing. I'd love to hear about how that works for you. And if you like it, great. I don't.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I think I wouldn't mind it if everybody was entering on some type of foundational level. Of I've learned choreography before, or something along those lines. Then that I think it can be impactful and fun. But when somebody's at 0, somebody's at 8, somebody's at 5, it's a lot. And it's a lot for the instructor because everybody needs their own singular feedback, but you don't have singular feedback time. You just don't.
That's real.
Yeah. That is the reality of group fitness classes. I feel like in general, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I can't speak to choreographed dancing, child. I can speak to line dancing and I can speak to step, but yeah, like it is hard to try to get everybody on the same page, or at least to get people who are beginning to not be looking at the people to their left and their right, feeling like, oh, I ain't gonna never be able to get that. Because I hear that all the time. People want that perfection that you mentioned earlier, like without the practice that it takes to get there. You know what I'm saying? And it's just unrealistic. I mean, but it's also just the society we live in. It's like a little microwave popcorn society. We just want to be able to do a thing and do it quickly and good, and then make money off of it immediately. You know what I'm saying? We want that in that order right now. So it's just not super realistic, and it's just not. I don't think it's like super healthy. Like it's just not the way that we should. Yeah, like operate or even look at stuff.
No, it's not healthy. Because what is that based on?
Yeah.
Because what if you do suck forever? But what if you practice and you don't get better? That's fine. Like everything isn't for everybody. Like, but what are you gonna do when you get there? Do you still like doing it?
Right.
So do it.
Did you have fun? Did you meet someone? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's always like something. There's always something. I mean, you may not never go back to that class again, but I had a time.
Exactly.
And that's what's supposed to matter.
Yeah.
It's just the joy of it all, right? Because I mean, there's enough going on in the world that we don't have to move our bodies and also make that punishment. We get punished enough.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing it in your spare time?
And when did we decide that only certain forms of movement are actual movement? And if it's fun, somehow it's not actually exercise. Like, I feel like I often get comments, mostly from white men, that say something along the lines of, we'll do anything but exercise. And I'm like, what do you think the definition of exercise is? I know what the definition of that word is, but what do you think the definition of that word is? Because how is dance cardio not movement to you? Can you keep up with me in my class?
Exactly.
And I feel like the way that some people view dance or view like a dancier fitness is because they're so disembodied, they can't even fathom the fact that like what you notice your body. You are embodied. They don't know what embodiment is and why it is important. And so that is probably a part of the reason why those men will come to you and be like, what is this? This is an exercise. And I'm moving my body for myself. Like, can you let me live? Can I be happy? Like, can I experience some form of joy? Can I get some sense of pleasure from like moving my body in a way that's like for me and it's not for you? Surprise, I can do things that are not for men. Oh my God.
Yes.
Who said that?
Who said that? Who's there? Who's there?
Not me.
Oh my
God. No, that's real. That's real. And it's a lot. It's a lot. It's very interesting in certain spaces that I'm in, like some of the social dancing scenes and whatnot, because we're literally here just to dance. Like the social dancing may or may not even be at a place that has food or anything to drink. Like sometimes it's just a venue with a room and water. Like we're literally just here to dance, and yet people will be on the dance floor. Like, I don't know. I'm scared to ask people to dance. What if they think I'm not good? Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. And now you're letting fear run your life.
Yeah.
Because like that's, you know what I mean? Like I always speak about with my clients, whether they're folks I'm working with on the fitness side or I'm working with on the clinical mental health side, everything is connected. So if you're feeling fearful about doing this movement, now your brain is saying, hey, you can't do it. And now you quite literally believe you cannot do it, even though that's not true.
Yeah.
And at what point do we cast aside the fear and live the life that we have? Because as far as we're aware, at least at this time, you only get one shot. So you
Right.
sitting over here being scared. You want to dance, but you sitting over here being scared to ask somebody to dance when that is quite literally the subjects. That is the topic at
That is
hand.
the matter at hand is dancing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sitting on the dance floor. Like it's so funny too, because I'll also joke with people, and I don't care, but I'll be the sweatiest one there. Like I'm the only one out of breath, and I'll joke about it. But it's funny because I'll meet somebody else who is the sweaty one, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that." Like, "Oh my gosh, you bring a towel with you and wipe your face." I'm gonna start doing that. Like, yeah, girl.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? Some people
Accommodation is
sweat.
so like foreign to folks.
100%. This don't have nothing to do with movement necessarily, but we went to a concert a couple weeks ago. It was a house music concert, and we bought whistles and fans because if you give me oons, oons, I'm giving clack clack. I mean, like, what are we? That just feels good to me. So I don't know. And you could see once we brought the whistles and the fans out, you could see how many people were like, oh. And then people were asking me where I get my fan from and then things like that. Do you have another whistle on you? I'm like, why would I have why would I have that? No, I don't. But thank you for asking. Um, but yeah, I mean, just like it blows people's mind that
Mm-hmm.
one would accommodate themselves.
Yeah, you're doing
Mm-hmm.
something different.
Wow.
What's
Mm-hmm.
the
Who told you
reason?
you could do that?
What a
Yeah.
concept.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's insane. I've always been the person I am, so I'm just so grateful to be here on this side of it. But I'm like, y'all come over here. Y'all get
Mm-hmm.
out of there. Ain't
Do
nothing
what
over
you
there for you.
want.
Oh, please be
Do what you want. I brought my fan
Mm-hmm.
to a live blues dance, and they gave me a solo. They had like a solo. They had things where people brought their own instruments, and people were playing real instruments. And the lady got on the phone. Where's that fan girl at? Give her a solo.
Clackety clack
Period.
clack.
Yeah.
It was
Period.
good. It was a good time.
Yes.
Good time.
Be free.
Well, yeah, we are all individuals that like doing individual things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What a concept.
I mean, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Literally, whoa.
Revolutionary.
Truly.
Revolutionary. Anywho,
Mm-hmm.
I think this is an amazing discussion so far. I would love to know what forms of dance do you have on your radar that you haven't tried that you'd like to get into before we close out?
Ooh.
Does it have to be dance or does it just have to be movement?
Movement, anything.
Okay.
I'm already ready for this question. I've been waiting my whole life to answer.
Oh,
Period.
But I
give
want
them the stage.
listen. I want to do like modern contemporary where like the movements are like super dynamic. You're like open, you rolling around on the floor, and then you get up. Oh,
Oh, I
I'm
see
bringing
that for
the
you.
drama. And then
I see that for you.
once I get that foundation technique, I'm gonna add a fan. Y'all not. Oh,
They're not gonna be ready. They're not ready.
Okay.
yeah. So I got my eyes right now.
I'm
so.
ready.
Y'all serious?
I'm ready to be in that audience.
Yeah. So
I'm into it.
I'm ready to roll around. I'm ready to be big. I'm ready to
Mhm.
take. I'm ready to maybe give you a little jump, a little leap. Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we limber. Okay. Okay,
I've
no.
worked this
Okay,
stretch.
nimble. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Warmed
Hmm.
up.
I'm with it.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank y'all for
Mm.
y'all support. Wow. Solidarity.
Solidarity. I think you got it.
Mhm. Let me fly on down.
Okay,
Yeah.
come on.
Period. Come on down.
I love it.
I feel if I'm gonna say dance specifically, I think I would love to do a capoeira class. My
Oh,
brother
yeah.
did that for a little bit when he was struggling with a lot of anxiety growing up, and he eventually decided to move on to other ways to move his body. But the way that it's spoken about and the truly the dynamic of the language that exists within the dance, I don't know, I think is quite fascinating. And in some ways, I think a way to help deconstruct what dance is and meant to be, and versus allowing it to be what it is.
Mm. Yeah. That could be a fun one.
Yeah.
I
Into
don't
it.
think I've ever heard of it.
That's Brazilian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's
nice.
beautiful.
And it's like technically has some martial arts elements as well. So being a Taekwondo kid, I'm like, maybe that's the way to get back into it as an adult without going back to white belt territory and starting all over again.
Okay.
Hmm. Okay. I'm into it.
Nice. For me, with dance, I think I would be interested in something like, I don't know, some kind of African something.
Yeah.
Mhm. Would eat that up. Me
Mm.
personally, love that. And
Mm.
then with just movement generally, I think I want to be into some kind of like, not fighting, right? But like defense. Some kind of kickboxing, some kind of jujitsu, some kind of something. I'm interested in that.
Okay.
Mhm.
I
Hmm.
could see it.
Hmm.
I could see the African. I feel like with your footwork, you could probably learn Bacardi dancing because it's fancy
Mm.
footwork, and I feel like you already got that.
Oh, wow.
I feel like
Thank
you would
you.
be good at that. You would
Thank you
slaughter
so
it.
much.
You'd be great.
Thank you so much. I
Hmm.
received that. I
Yes.
do.
Yes. I don't know that we have any of that in Richmond, but if you
No
find it, I'll come
clue.
with you.
I will do my research. I will do my
Yes.
research and I'll reach back out. Hmm.
I'm down. Yeah. I don't have any other forms of dance in my purview. I'm kind of at the point where I didn't picture the things that I'm doing, and I don't think that I will
Okay.
picture the things that I'm gonna do next. I'm just let it show up.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just let it come. Because that's just the way life has been. And I think it's just gonna keep going that way. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens
Mhm.
next. Whatever calls to me, I'm gonna do it.
Period.
Love it.
Hmm.
That's it. That's it.
Staying present.
Mm-hmm. Period
Yeah.
end. Yeah.
If we ever do
So
get like a West African dance here, though, we should go. We like a West African dance class, but specifically where the drummers are in the class.
Oh,
ooh,
Lord.
yes.
If
Yes.
I
Oh,
knew a way to
Lord.
set that up, I wouldn't be the teacher of it, but I could like if I could set that experience up for us, like, oh
Yeah.
my God, yeah, 'cause
Feeling the drums is I went to a
I'm
powwow and
sure
I
there's
stood by the
somebody.
drums and I was like,
yeah, the
yes,
percussion, yeah.
Yes.
Hmm. It just
need
makes the
that.
circle of throwing just truly so
Hmm.
ancestral. Like you're getting into your ancestral plane.
Come
Like,
on.
Mhm. Yes, I'm
Yes.
dancing for all the ones that weren't free to dance because I have a personal
mhm,
philosophy. To me, if you think about it, we were not allowed to do what it do, right? And the
Yeah.
only space
mhm,
that we had to be free was church on Sundays, even as enslaved people. That was the only dance we
mhm,
could do, is a praise dance, and the rest we had to hide it. So
mhm.
this is breaking generational curses right here, throwing it back,
It is.
twirling a silk fan, doing
Yes.
a line dance, doing some dance cardio. I'm free to move however I'd like, and I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it. I love it.
100%.
Yes.
Agreed.
And that's that.
Yes. Wow.
Okay.
Great chat, friends. Great
Great
chat.
chat, friends.
Yeah, it was
Thanks so
amazing.
much for having the Chicago person here.
Thanks for joining
What?
us.
And that's actually where I'm from. I'm born and raised from Chicago. I just don't live there no more. So I see,
You
Period.
see what she did there?
Meow.
I like it. I like that.
All right, I'm gonna walk our friends out. Thank you for joining us, my lovely guests. Thank you for whoever's on the live stream. All three of y'all, you the best.
Hey.
If you're catching the recording, love you too.
Yeah.
All right, now this is me proverbially walking you to your car. Thanks for hanging out and listening to the Movement for Everybody podcast. You can find the book by its same name at major retailers, independent bookstores, and your local library. Be sure to follow me at Move with Marcia on all the socials and say hello sometime.